Hello again, curious acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to our archives. Order 66 was the event that shook the entire galaxy whenever it took place. The entire extinction of the Jedi Order happened within a matter of hours, and hardly any of them saw it coming. The surprise attack coming from their own clones had completely caught the Jedi blind, and the total victory was given to Sidious and the Sith. It is astounding exactly how few Jedi saw this coming, seeing as the Force is their ally, and the Force is famous for alerting Force sensitives of danger and devastating future events. In fact, it has done so again and again and again, however, very little this time. We know a little of why only a few Jedi saw the rise of the Empire happening in the future, as some of them were wise enough to peer into the Force for answers. However, the Jedi had an extremely difficult time doing this, although something that our researchers noted was that other people who knew the Jedi were coming to an end were all Darksiders, and all had some dark side leaning. They were the one who sensed the end of the Jedi, but not the Jedi themselves. Many of the Jedi that saw the Order's destruction only saw it once they had turned to the dark side and embraced it, and all those who were already enraptured by the dark side knew of what was happening, even without being included in Sidious's plan. So today, my friends, we are going to author a holocron as to why this is, and it's actually quite brilliant. The truth of this strange phenomenon as to why only those in tune with the dark side noticed the change in the galaxy against the Jedi, and discovered the end of the Jedi before even the Order itself knew it. Interestingly, we believe that there is actually a simple explanation for it, so let's talk about our theory and our analysis. First though, let's establish exactly why hardly any of the Jedi saw this coming in the first place in this massive event and end of their order. Throughout the Clone Wars, the Force had tried many times to warn the Jedi of their coming destruction. Several Masters, Knights, and even Padawans were having troubling visions about the future, and many of them could sense that war would be the end of the Jedi. Sindralik's Padawan named Wee saw his death at the hands of a blue lightsaber. Grandmaster Yoda had foreseen the plans that were already in motion that could not be stopped against them, and even Mace Windu outright stated that he sensed a plot to destroy the Jedi. And yet, hardly any of them acted on this. Many of those who came forward about their visions were disregarded by the Jedi Council, the Council who were getting visions themselves. The Council surmised that not all of these visions of the future could be trusted as accurate, since the future was always in motion. But of course, we know that the real reason for this was because of the Jedi's arrogance in believing that they were too strong to be defeated at this point in time, never realizing that the betrayal was coming from within. Many Jedi during this time, and even before the beginning of the Clone Wars, would leave the Order due to ideological differences and disillusionment, as they would see where this path would eventually lead them. However, where this differs is none of the Jedi foresaw Order 66. At this point in time, there was a veil over the light side and the users of the light entirely. The dark side had clouded the future and blinded out the eyes of the Jedi, which was explained later on by Darth Sidious. As Sidious explained exactly why this was, we know that Sidious had used the war as well as the conflict in the Senate to not only distract the Jedi, but cause the dark side to infiltrate their thoughts so that they couldn't see what was coming. A brilliant maneuver. Even Master Yoda's vision was clouded for a time. Later, we would discover in the lore that one of the major reasons the Jedi were unable to see the future was because of the dark side shrine that was buried underneath their very temple on Coruscant. The ancient Jedi had decided to build their temple on top of this in an attempt to balance it out and to get rid of the evil that lay beneath in the shrine. However, with Darth Sidious being present, this was a pitiful maneuver that backfired. Sidious had been able to channel the dark side straight into the halls of the Jedi Temple, keeping the Jedi further blinded. These reasons would ultimately serve as the catalyst of why the Jedi would be defeated. Their arrogance that they would even build their temple on top of an ancient Sith shrine. It was a combination of misdirection and subterfuge, a brilliant play by Sidious. The Jedi had been completely focused on the war against the Separatists that they had no idea that the Sith had already infiltrated their very ranks. However, there were a few select people who saw Order 66 as well as the rise of the Empire once they had embraced the darkness. In fact, it was 3 visions that would even be the reason that they would turn in the first place. For instance, Pong Krell had a vision of a new galactic order, and an order that would rise up and destroy the Jedi. He wanted to survive and be a part of it, so he ended up turning to the dark side because of his selfish desires, wanting to be be Dooku's apprentice, as he had believed that it would be Dooku who would bring about this change. Once Anakin had been manipulated into dipping slightly into the dark side by the brother of Mortis, he had visions where he saw absolutely everything that happened, including his duel with Obi-Wan and the death of Padme, and turn into Vader. This too caused Anakin to turn to the dark side, and of course we have Maul, who lost nearly everything by the end of the Clone Wars, and now was getting visions that the time grew very near. The dark side itself let Maul in on the dirty secret that had been happening all around him, while the entire Jedi Council never got any visions that the time was near. Maul gained great wisdom from this and began to see things as they truly were, and he realized that both he and Dooku had been pawns in the greater schemes all along. He knew about the Empire, and even knew about Anakin being the main catalyst and Palpatine's brand new apprentice, which is why he decided to attempt to kill Anakin. As we said, all three of these circumstances had one thing in common. None of them had known about Palpatine's plan prior, and all had been able to be influenced by the dark side in some way, to finally be able to tell them the truth of the matter. So why is it that only Darksiders could sense the coming of the second Great Jedi Purge and the rise of the Empire? We believe it all has to do with the veil that was over the light side. You see, only select users of the light were able to see small snippets of what was to come, and what the Force was desperately trying to warn them of in any way they could. Though those that used the dark side wouldn't have the veil of darkness hampering their ability to see, and they would be able to pierce through that cloud and get a flood of information. Thinking about those in the light who saw visions, they only ever saw tiny glimpses or got impressions. We saw his death at the hands of a blue lightsaber. Mace Windu, as powerful as he was, felt a plot to destroy the Jedi, but wasn't able to see what was going on right in front of him. Only after going through the trials given to him by the Force priestesses did Yoda finally see what was to come. He knew of Sidious, and he saw the Jedi being destroyed. But as far as we know, Yoda didn't know all of the details of what was about to happen. It was only those who were entirely saturated in the dark side that got the full picture shown to them, maybe excluding a few details here and there, but Pong Krell knew of the Empire rising from the Republic's ashes. Maul knew of that too, but had it taken a step further, and he knew that Anakin had the main role to play in all of it. He knew of the process and that it had already begun, and there was no stopping it. Anakin, however, with the help of the brother, got the entire picture given to him clear as day. He knew everything that was about to happen, even his turn into Vader. Ironically, Anakin would then turn to the dark side afterwards, with the impression that this was the only thing that would be able to save his friends and wife from himself in the events to come. Since the dark side can only cloud the light and not itself, those who could touch the dark side were able to see through it. But anyway, my friends, this was our theory as to why it seemed that only Darksiders could sense Order 66. There are many stories and strange occurrences that led up to this very moment, such as a large-scale event like a total destruction of the Jedi in a single instant was bound to make the Force want to rebel and act. I believe that maybe the Force was trying to warn anyone who would listen, but the only ones listening were those that could pierce the veil one way or another. But we would love to know what you think of all of this. Do you believe that aligning with the dark side had anything to do with sensing Order 66? Or do you have your own theories? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, of course, may the Force be with you all.